Voice AI, an often overlooked technology in the cataclysmic shift of AI, has recently gained attention thanks to advancements in speech synthesis, latency, and model performance. And these improvements have been pivotal to the success of both my voice AI businesses and many others in the industry. So what exactly is the voice AI opportunity, and how can you capitalize on this movement to pioneer the future of AI? Today, I'll go through exactly why I think voice AI is so monumental and some of the business opportunities it's created, and also some of the future applications voice AI is likely to empower. Let's jump in. Humans' most natural communication interface is voice, and in fact, a PwC report suggested that 70% of consumers prefer voice over typing when it comes to interacting with technology. But why might this be? Well, aside from voice being 3 times as efficient than typing, voice is something fundamental in the human experience. Speech composed the building blocks of human communication, and our brains are literally hardwired for speech. From infancy, we learn to process and produce speech far before we learn to read and write. The auditory cortex and other areas in the brain are specialized for encoding and decoding and understanding speech. Speech is fast, emotional, and context-rich, delivering not just words, but tone and intent, urgency, and sentiment in milliseconds. Aside from our initial biology, voice is the medium of presence, right? And it carries identity, emotion, as well as memory in a way text never can. It's relational. To speak is to reach out and to connect with others in real time. Unlike typed words, voice leaves less room for distortion and more room for being heard exactly as you are. And aside from our initial biology, voice is the medium of presence. Voice AI, I think, taps into this primary mode of communication, augmenting machines with the most human interface we have. Since the dawn of machines, humans have adapted to technology, typing, clicking, coding. But with voice AI, this paradigm shifts. For the first time ever, technology is learning to communicate like us through our most instinctive human interface, our voice. And in a nutshell, this is the voice AI opportunity. So what exactly can we do, and what does this paradigm shift look like in the context of commerce? Now, I've spent over a year building, deploying, and testing voice AI applications in business, as well as teaching thousands to do the same along the way. And the clearest commercial winner is this: revenue generation through outbound engagement. Put simply, voice AI now lets businesses reach potential customers at scale, instantly, 24/7, and without the overhead of additional sales team members. And there are 3 core outbound applications: lead generation and qualification, lead reactivation, and speed to lead. If you run a business, the goal is simple: get in front of your ideal customer. But in a world of 8+ billion people, how do you cut through all the noise? First, and speaking generally, you can build or acquire a targeted list, whether that's through organic or paid traffic. And then you engage, right? And there are a ton of engagement methods here, but traditionally that means calling. And despite the hype around, email marketing and social media, as well as inbound, phone calls remain central to lead outreach. Nearly 2/3 of reps still place outbound calls, and over 1/3 generate the most of their leads that way. And a majority of prospects are still open to receiving these outbound calls, right? And because of this reason, there exists this natural bottleneck, right? People can only conduct so many outbound calls. So what do we do here? We can hire more reps or perhaps outsource a call center to conduct these outbound calls. But for smaller businesses, this is a costly and laborsome exercise, which many businesses don't have the luxury to entertain. And this is where voice AI, I think, can become quite complementary. By automating outreach and qualifying prospects' interests, voice AI handles that initial contact and lead qualification, allowing your best sales team members to focus only on those promising opportunities. And let me reiterate, this is where voice AI can become complementary to those existing sales processes, thus shifting the manual effort of initial contact, qualifying those prospects, and then allocating those best opportunities to your existing team members. And I've built dozens of these systems, and the ones that garner the best results are those that handle the top of funnel sales processes. So reaching out instantaneously to qualified or interested prospects, or conducting those colder calls to qualified prospects, or perhaps contacting some dormant leads within your database to bring them back to top of sales. Now, some argue that this is overly annoying, automating the outreach to prospects that perhaps never wanted to be contacted in the first place, and sometimes I agree. But consider this. Would you rather receive one call to determine if you want to engage with a company's services or products, or a flood of emails, calls, and texts by human sales team members to facilitate the same outcome? I think I would rather the aforementioned. So in the context of revenue generating commerce, voice AI is slowly opening the doors to opportunity to make those real tangible impacts to smaller businesses, and even those larger businesses looking to overhaul their existing call centers. So what about the flip side of the equation here? When a business starts generating revenue through voice AI outbound, whether by qualifying new leads, reactivating old ones, or accelerating that speed to lead process, the natural downstream effect is an increase in inbound activity. More leads means more questions, more sales means more support, and more engagement means more operational strain. And this is where some businesses can hit a wall. While outbound voice AI is about growth, inbound is about control. It's about sustaining that growth without collapsing your internal systems under that very weight of it. Customer service teams, admin staff, and operations can only handle so much inbound calls, right? They can only handle so many repetitive questions before costs spike and your customer experiences decrease. And this is where I think voice AI in particular can become a full stack solution. The same technology that drives that outbound performance can now absorb inbound pressure, answering FAQs, handling appointment scheduling, routing calls intelligently, and freeing up your team to focus on real edge cases. It's not about replacing support here, it's about scaling it without adding additional headcount. So where this first opportunity was about top of funnel growth, opportunity 2 here is about operational leverage. Together they form sort of this flywheel. The more outbound success you have, the more inbound demand you'll generate. And voice AI here sits in the middle, empowering both processes. Now, we've talked about these traditional outbound and inbound voice communication in the context of business, but what about some everyday implementations that are arising to the surface now that voice AI technology is increasing in quality? And those applications that are largely forgotten but still ubiquitous in everyday life. So think calling your doctor to confirm an appointment, check your bank balance, getting reminders about out certain events, calling public services for updates, or navigating customer service menus, verifying your identity over the phone, reporting a fault, receiving a pharmacy refill script, things like that. These aren't corporate strategies, they're part of how we live. Voice remains the default interface for life's logistics, and yet most of these systems are slow, they're fragmented, and they're often frustrating. Like, have you ever had to call the bank or the government? You know what I mean here. And this is the other side of voice AI that has potential to quietly overhaul this layer of daily interaction. Not to sell here, but to serve, to make these basic tasks more instantaneous, to remove that friction from everyday conversation, to bring intelligence to millions of routine calls that happen daily across the aforementioned industries I had mentioned, right? And in short, voice AI doesn't just have business application, it has civic infrastructure upgrade waiting to happen. Voice has always been our first interface with each other, with institutions, with the world. And now, for the first time, technology is finally meeting us there. Whether it's driving that revenue I first talked about, or absorbing operational strain, or quietly streamlining the routine voice interactions that we have on a daily basis, voice AI here isn't really just this trend. It's a fundamental shift in the way we can communicate with technology. The interface is changing, and those who understand this early won't just adapt, they'll thrive. And that's what I'm aiming to teach here weekly, and have been doing so for the past 12 months. So if you're looking to be a part of this voice AI paradigm shift, consider subscribing, guys. I upload weekly, and I aim to bring real-world applications with voice AI to you guys and teach you exactly how to implement those. Anyway, that was a little tangent today, but that is it. Until next time.